logistics will always trump game. Always. If your goal is just go out there and get laid, well, first of all, logistics will always trump game. This is a concept that will get you laid more than any wingman, pickup coach, female wing girl, any job promotion, any six-pack will ever get you laid. This concept of logistics trumping game will always give you better results. And what this does, it tells you that, it reinforces in your mind that game can only get you so much. Game is a dial. Game is this spiral of emotions. Game is this roller coaster of emotions. Now, granted, the better at game you get, the more persuasive ability you get, the more influence you have, the better success you can have with your game. But logistics will always trump it. An example of that is the designated driver. Let's say you meet a girl and she loves you, she's wildly attracted to you, maybe you made out with her when you guys walked to the bathroom. She just broke up with her boyfriend a month ago, which is just kind of enough time for her to get over it, but enough time where her girlfriends are telling her to get back out there. She's your exact type. She likes you. I don't know why. She just happens to think you're amazing. And her friends are doing massive shots at the bar. She is the designated driver. A lot of guys will amp it up because they'll think, oh, the girl likes me. My jokes are working. So how do I pull this girl? Because she's giving me some resistance on the pull. She's giving resistance on you getting her back to your place. So what do? A lot of guys will just tell more jokes that are working really well. Nickname that worked in the past, they're going to use the nickname further. The thing you have to understand is logistics will always trump it. The logistics of this situation are that she cares and has a lot of trust for her friends, usually. So she is going to be the designated driver and take her friends home. So more attraction isn't going to help that. The only way to actually bring this girl back to your place is to solve the logistical need. You use illicit motivations to find their primary driver motion, their PDE, in order to actually solve the real issue. Understand, you have to read between the lines of what the girls are saying to solve the problem. If the girl's laughing at all your jokes and saying how funny you are, escalating back with you, it's a very good time, but she has to bring her girlfriends back, there's no amount of alpha trait or man-to-woman trait that you could possess that's going to win that battle. Option one is you take the whole group back with you. This is oftentimes something that I like to do because I want to demonstrate how social of a person I am, because deep down I'm really not that extroverted. So if I'm not that extroverted deep down, what I have to do is I have to show how social I am in all these different situations to then squeeze the zit, squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube. Meaning I want to create some sort of big bang that happens in the group where everybody thinks that I'm this crazy social guy. Because what happens when you're a crazy social guy? You're safe, you're trustworthy, right? You're pre-selected. All these traits, you're confident. All these traits that you're actively trying to embody just happen. So when I'm trying to hold the whole group together, suddenly every girl thinks I'm this safe, trustworthy, amazing guy. Little do they know, right? So instead what happens is half of them don't ever want to come with anyway, and it'll kind of break off. But you'll still probably be stuck with a few of them. What I like to do if it's an alcohol situation is I'm the Uber master. I am the Uber master. I will have the Uber waiting for them. Because here's the thing. Number one is like, if you're a guy who's improving his dating life or you're increasing your social networking life, you should have unlimited Ubers. Almost unlimited Ubers. Like I have more Uber credit than I could possibly use. And I use Uber as probably my main vehicle most of the time. Right? But I'll install Uber on girls' phones who don't have it to get the $20 credit. Because it's pretty funny. It's like an easy way to add value. So it's crazy how many people don't know that you give Lyft or Uber to somebody else, you each get some free credit. It's crazy how many people don't know that in the interaction. So you'll give them a free Uber credit. You'll get them an Uber. Because the reason I even mention that is a lot of guys will say, "Oh, but you're paying for their Ubers. I don't want to pay for some other chick's Uber." Funny thing is, in most cities, the Uber bill is $6 to $12. Like it's super cheap, right? But you get them in the Uber. Why is it important to use Uber instead of another method? Why is Uber very helpful in this moment? Uber is very important because cabs are, like, as shady as Ubers are, cabs are way shadier. You put a girl in an Uber, all the info comes up. It's very difficult for an Uber driver to be super inappropriate. I mean, it happens, but it's the driver's info is there. You can see the path that they go on. You can share there's so many things within Uber now that make it a very safe logistical helper. You can even do Uber XL now, where it's cheaper than the SUV, but it's you can still carry the whole group. One of the Uber SUV though is one of those easy ways to really appear like somebody who's very, very high value without having to actually display it. Well-maintaining logistics. Logistics, that's something that you can spend a decent amount of money on that actually helps you rather than value. Spending money on value is like this empty bucket. You can just keep, there's always somebody with a nicer car, right? One of my best friends here, he drives a Lamborghini Huracan, which is like a $250,000, $300,000 car, right? I think it's epic. I think it looks super cool. But someone pulled up in one of his neighbors just bought 2 Aventadors. Those start at like 600 or something, 550. They're very, very expensive cars. So what did he do? I mean, these are high status social circles that I only kind of dabble in and add value in terms of women and networking. But the next day he had to buy a Ferrari because he couldn't handle being the guy with the baby Lambo. Right? Well, it's value. Value is this pit. Value is kind of like looks. There's always somebody better looking. There's always somebody with more money. There's no way to do that, right? Logistics, you can just be ingenious. You can just be clever, gregarious, poignant, and solve logistics and close girls that normally you'd never be able to close because of logistics not matching up. You guys understand? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to give you guys like 4 or 5 tangible points about this. Every main module that I go through with you guys, you can use to close girls, hook up with girls, date girls, just off that one module alone if you become an expert in it. I've taught a lot of guys just become expert in logistics, and they didn't build their army. They did the U army. They didn't work on their inner game at all. They didn't do the parties. They didn't do anything else. They just did this one thing alone. But they got really, really good at it. Step 1 is to realize this. Not step 1. The asterisk, the mission statement, the core. The core part of logistics trumping game is the concept that if the girl's back at your place at 3 a.m., what are the chances something sexual is going to happen? Extremely high. Extremely high. Platonic or not platonic, the chances are very, very high. But so many guys are worried about what their opener is. So many guys are worried about how are they going to spark attraction in this one case over here or this other situation over here. Who gives a shit, right? Think about it. What you're, it's like poker. When when the dealer shows the hands, or not the hands, the river, the flop. What is it? I don't play poker. I don't play poker, but when the dealer does something with the cards, and you see on the little TV all the different percentages that change. That's kind of like getting a girl back at your place at 3 a.m. If you can get her back at your place at 3 a.m., even if she fucking hates you for some reason, right? Which would be odd, but it happens, right? Consensually back at your place at 3 a.m., what are the chances something's going to happen? Very, very high. So knowing that, all of a sudden you start realizing escalation is not your problem. Escalation will stop her from getting back to your place at 3 a.m. Escalation will make the chances of you and her hooking up once she's back at your place more likely, because what's going to happen? A lot of girls who aren't up for that escalation, they're not going to allow themselves to go back to your place because they deem you less safe. They deem you less trustworthy. They don't like the groping. They don't like that escalation. But think about it. Once you're back at the place, if the odds rise, regardless of the escalation you've already done, as long as she's back at your place at 3 a.m., that something sexual is going to happen, then once you want to just cast a bigger filter to have a better chance of getting the girls you talk to back at your place at 3, 4 a.m., rather than having to screen them out earlier on. You follow? So the answer is yes. Get the girl back to your place through commonalities, through any hook, any plausible deniability, anything. Just get them back for whatever reason. We'll talk about a lot of different reasons later about how you can get them back and how you can seed the pull and justify the close and all this stuff, right? But if you can just use logistics alone to segue it, you're going to beat out any guy that's gaming to the point where logistics will beat out friends that have known the girl for a long time. Logistics will beat out you and your attraction building. It'll beat out everything. Logistics at first starts with the 4 logistical questions. 4 logistical questions. Who are you here with? What are you doing after this? Where are you staying? And what are you doing tomorrow? These 4 questions are not meant to be read off like a checklist. These 4 questions are meant to get the answers from the girl and then drill down deep into each answer. If you don't know what to say when you're talking to girls, you're not pulling consistently, or closing consistently for that matter, then just make your entire interaction about these 4 questions. And even if the girl tries to steer you off of these questions, just dive in deeper and deeper and deeper into each one. For example, when you ask, so who are you here with? And she says, oh, I'm with my college sorority girls. It's a once-a-year trip. She could say anything, right? Then what you do is you always reward the thing the girl says. Holy shit, that's really cool. It's great that you guys were able to maintain this consistency each year, or able to stay close. A lot of people aren't able to do that. A lot of girls just kind of after college just ditch their friends. So that's a big reward. It's 2, 3, 4 sentences about how cool it is that they're able to, how cool it is that you think that they all came together. A lot of guys will tease that, and then they'll try to tear apart the group. The better persuasive tactic is to build the group up and then watch them go against it. If you're the one who is trying to drive the wedge between the girls that you're talking to, it's very, very apparent. It's obvious. How's the audio? Cool. It's very, very obvious. What's less obvious and a little bit more interesting and sneaky is for you to actually build the groups up and then watch them give you reasons on why they should hang out with you instead of them. So you do the 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. I'll even go even further with my rewards. I want to be as elaborate with them as possible. And then I'll ask a deeper question about the thing that she said. So an example of a deeper question would be, so which one of your sorority girls was your best friend back then? It's a pretty deep question, right? Another example would be, which one of your sorority girls have you kept in contact with the most? Which one? I mean, there's an infinite level of questions here that you could ask, right? So you ask the question. Because you gave a very positive frame and rewarded the previous thing that she said, she's much more likely to give you a big answer to the next question. But again, this isn't game. This is really just asking the real questions and making her feel good about asking these questions. If you can tie the second part onto the logistics, which is if you can make the woman feel better about herself while she's around you, where do you think she's going to want to be? Around you. So if you can make her feel consistently good about, this is where it gets a little bit sneaky. If you can make her feel really, really good about herself while she's around you, well, you're getting the situation, escalating it into a place where something sexual or intimate can happen. What are the chances of her actually going to that place? Well, she feels good while she's around you. Higher or lower? Dramatically higher. Rather than just trying to force it into plausible deniability or some weird justification on why she's back at your place. You justify it, because a lot of guys just say, oh, cede the clothes, or give plausible deniability. No, it's a very multifaceted situation if you want to have the magical thing in game called consistency. If you want to have consistency, you want to look at all these factors. So one of those factors would be justifying the clothes with some sort of plausible deniability. Again, that's not game. Having some reason on why she's back at your place. I know a guy who does the whole glass blowing thing. He's got a bunch of hand-blown glass back at his place, and girls love it. They eat it up. I'm the after party guy, right? I'm the guy who always knows where the best after party is, and then I have an after party at my place, which is more chill. I mean, I'm the party guy. There's different things you can do here to have plausible deniability. Oh, they're just going to the after party. Oh, they're just going to this other thing. Oh, my friends were in that hotel room, right? You're going to some. I meet girls all the time who they wind up in some random guy's hotel room because their friends were going to that hotel room. Well, that's a plausible deniability, is that their friends were going to go to that hotel room, even if the friends weren't in that hotel room at all anyway, right? Any kind of plausible deniability that you can establish, it's better. Got it? But then on top of that, if you can get her invested in the logistics, this is step 2. Get her invested in the logistics. Again, most guys will just screen for logistics, or they'll read it off like a checklist. They'll look at logistics as a step in their game, not as an overarching structure. If you look at logistics as an overarching structure, you're going to get a lot more buy-in and participation from her in solving those logistics. If you can get her buying in and participating in the logistical questions that you're establishing, what ends up happening is you get her convincing herself and you the logistics are not a problem based on the structure of these conversations and questions in the linear path. For example, when you ask the girl who you're here with, and then she tells you her coworkers, to switch from the sorority girl example. Girl says, oh, I'm here with my coworkers. We just left a work conference. A simple reward to that would be, holy shit, that's awesome. So to get buy-in from her, you do a strong leading reward. A leading reward is an example of that is what I just said. Holy shit, that's awesome. When I say, holy shit, that's awesome, what do you think she says? Anything. She says what? She says, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I mean, thank you or what is usually the common response to that. And either way, I don't really care. I just want that skin in the game. I want that buy-in, that participation. Again, most guys will just say, no, most guys won't even do this at all, the logistical game at all. But once you learn about logistics, most guys are just saying, oh, who are you here with? And the girl says, oh, here with my coworkers. And they'll just say, oh, okay, where are they at? And then they'll try to do what? Isolate. Oh, how do I get her away from the coworkers? Right? No. You want to have the opposite mentality. You want to keep the thing together. Okay? Because you don't actually have to hold it together all the way to your place. You just have to in fact, the more you shove it down their throats that you're this social friendly guy. I'll even say it, oh, I'm a social friendly guy, it's okay. We can say how much of a social friendly guy you are. The more you can portray that, the less likely they are to actually stick around. And I'm going to show you some ways that you can keep it going even if they do stick around. But trying to isolate is very apparent. So when you reward, you say, holy shit, that's awesome, that's great. The girl says, oh, thank you. And then what you do is, no, really, it's fantastic how you can actually have a good working relationship, but then also maintain a relationship where you guys can go out and be social and let it hang there as well. Right? Another leading reward. When I say no, really, that's almost the no, really almost implies that she's disagreeing with me at first, or she's saying something that isn't in alignment with what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to package up what she's saying and run with it. So no, really, it's actually amazing. This is about to be a positive frame. When you lay out this positive frame, they respond in a very positive way to you, at least for the next couple sentences, which is all that you need to keep drilling deeper. Notice the amount of impact and emphasis I'm putting on these logistics and getting that buy-in from the girl. It doesn't matter how much you win her over. What matters is how much skin in the game, buy-in you can get from her in this type of conversation. Right? That's really awesome. Holy shit. Oh, thank you, she's going to say. And then you say, it's awesome that you can maintain that work relationship and then still see them at a nightlife type setting, a bar, whatever. That's really cool. A lot of people just couldn't handle that. They get too competitive in the workplace to then hang out socially. A lot of people need that social. And again, notice you're talking, but you're not talking about yourself. So you're encapsulating the conversation in a very us against them kind of frame. You're encapsulating this conversation in a I understand and show empathy for where you're coming from. Watch me now show how much I really understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. Because most people don't ever think that anybody is actually listening to them when they're speaking. But when you can show the girl that not only are you listening, but you're understanding and you're empathizing, watch the trust and rapport just shoot through the roof, rather than another guy in the bar try to make a bunch of funny jokes. You can still break rapport throughout this entire interaction, but that's if you want to add the game on top of it. You don't even need to. You can use the assumptive questions. You can use the assumptions to drive the interaction further and watch what the game kind of naturally happen as you're doing this. So you want to do positive reward to each thing that she says to get the buy-in, and then give deeper questions to each one. This could last you 45 minutes to an hour just doing these questions, and you're going to get massive buy-in from the girl. So again, you should have 20 questions set up by the time you get done with this. The 4 logistical questions and 4 follow-ups to each. That's 4 original plus 16. That's why it's 20. Once you've done this, it's a bit of a good litmus test to know that you've gone through the bases. Now, how I want to say is this. Once you've gone through all 20, it's a good test to know that you've actually put a good effort into solving the logistics and going for the pull. Once you've done the 20 properly, you're going to notice that it just promotes and prompts a widespread conversation. You don't even have to work for the conversation deeper. The teases will come naturally. You ask the girl, where are you staying? Girl says, Luxor. Just start laughing. Let's say you ask, where are you staying? The girl says, Carrollton or Plano, suburbs north of Dallas. Right? Ask her what time her flight leaves. Is she gonna make it on time, or is she gonna have to do the chores, or will the cows be fine on her farm? Implying that it's a rural area, right? Again, this doesn't have to be Vegas, LA, Miami. You could do this in any city, right? Whatever city. I mean, your eyes are all from different cities. Any one of these cities, you guys can tease about this, right? Rural area, oh ha, make fun of a girl for being rural. Guess what? If she's from a city area, an urban area, make fun of her for that too. It's irrelevant what the thing is. Just polarize the girl and run with it. Okay? That's where you can sprinkle in a little bit of game to it. But what you're going to find is when you start going deeper and deeper, you start asking things like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? You're going to notice the girl kind of flirt back with you after she's put so much investment into the conversation. And she's going to say things like, I'm not sure yet. Well, everyone kind of knows what they're doing tomorrow, right? You're going to ask the girl, oh, what are you doing after this? And she's going to give more open-ended responses that you can drive home. This is a very good way to do this on a first time you meet a girl kind of basis. The best way to make closing off of logistics and realizing that logistics always trumps game is on your day 2 close. If you're willing to go on dates with girls, right? Not many dates with individual girls, but just even one day 2, you can do an amazing layout, an amazing linear progression in your date that will give you, that even if you want to kind of go off of it, use my anecdotal reference as a good experience, my anecdotal experience is a good reference for you. The way that I set this up is this. My whole goal was how do I close a girl? How do I hook up with a girl even if I'm just too exhausted from gaming? Too exhausted from gaming or teaching game, or I have a big work project. How do I do this? Because just because I don't want to game on one particular day doesn't mean that I should lose a chance to hook up with a girl that's my exact type of girl. So I was in Texas when I came up with this, which is the sushi, trampolines, and chocolate date. Have you guys ever heard my sushi, trampolines, and chocolate? You've heard of it? Cool. When did I tell you it too? Scottsdale. In Scottsdale? Cool. So I came up with the sushi, trampolines, and chocolate date because I wanted to find a way to get the girl back to my place 100% of the time, but with her begging to go back. Whether she had work in the morning, whether this was a girl who it was a party girl or she was a professional, whatever the girl, it was irrelevant. How did I get her to, my goal was how do I get her to agree to come back to my place with pretty much 100% consistency? Well, the first step was, what if I could get her to agree, even subliminally or subtly, to go back to my place before she even accepts the date, before she even shows up for the date. And then the rest, we're just fulfilling the steps as it progresses. Well, what do you think that's going to do to my confidence level or my state or my self-esteem or my inner game? It's going to go through the roof. What is it going to do to the social proof at each place along this date? It's going to go through the roof. It's going to be very easy to build the U Army. It's going to be very, very easy to network. It's going to be very easy to create this setup where everybody's got FOMO because they see how much cool shit I'm doing on a consistent basis with how cool this date is. I'm able to save a shit ton of money, right? It's all the 5 cornerstones. I'm able to save a shit ton of money because just by going to these, by becoming a regular and by always bringing a date to these regular places, you're going to find that every bill is, oh, here's 50% off, and the general manager comes over and gives you complimentary dessert, or you walk into the bar at the end, in the middle of this date and just give you the free drinks and stuff that I never even asked for. It was very uncomfortable at first because I didn't know how to handle it. And then I realized, oh, this is why I'm getting laid off this, because it's not about the dollar profit and loss savings. The whole point though is it's cooler than if I was a guy who was just blowing the money on each thing at each point in the date. Because girls would tell me, they're like, oh, I've been on dates with guys that were spending a lot more money on me than you, but they would say a lot of things like, who are you? They oftentimes say things like, what are you? I was like, what do you mean, what am I? And they're like, well, how is this happening? Why is every place that we go to, they're just treating you like a king? Oh, I don't know, right? You just downplay the whole thing. So the way this date sets up is you meet a girl, you get her phone number. First text is this, right? Any of you guys ever wonder what to text a girl, what kind of game message you can send to kind of spark it? I mean, we all have, right? So I said, what's the highest leverage text? Meaning the text that I can send with the least amount of words, get the best response for my actual goal of dating this girl or sleeping with her. And I tested 50 to 100 messages, and the best one I came up with from the data, not just randomly, is want to go on an adventure? ? I actually also tested the spaces. It's better if you can put a space between the last letter of your question and then either the question mark or the exclamation point or whatever. I don't know why it works. It just works really well. Super simple. Not even worth stopping for. If you can put a space between your last letter of your last word in the sentence and then your punctuation, you're always going to get a better response, especially with a question. Okay. So the one that I tested was want to go on an adventure. It's got a very, very high success rate of girls responding back. Even girls that didn't really like me were responding back to this. They maybe didn't say, yeah, of course, when can I do that? But they were responding back haha, what kind of adventure? Well, that's awesome, because all I want, even if the girl wasn't super interested at first, you have to look at game as being a segued approach, meaning everything you do should just get you into the next step. If you can do that, game is a piece of cake. Your success with women is a piece of cake. So want to go on an adventure, she says, haha, what kind of adventure? Or for sure, definitely, any sort of response. Whatever the response is, you send back, do you like, well, first you'd say, all right, sweet, cool, some sort of statement like that, and then you'd say, do you like sushi, trampolines, and chocolate? Question mark. At this point, she's just so fucking confused that she wants to answer, because now you've turned this very serious thing like a date into a game. So you've created an amazing setup, which is you are the text buddy that she's so engaged with texting between you and her that she is very excited to keep it up. It's not just a random text buddy. So once you say, do you want to go on sushi? Do you like sushi, trampolines, and chocolate? The beauty here is you're wedging your full close, your actual pull, in between two things that are innocuous, that are simple. So sushi and chocolate, very common date ideas, very simple. It's almost from a BuzzFeed article, very, very simple, right? Well, the trampolines, I had a huge, one of those big trampolines in our backyard. We lived, 15, 20 minutes from the downtown area in the small town that I lived in at the time. And I determined, hey, how do I get the girl to be in a place where she's very comfortable with me? Well, I told myself, I lived in a place where it was good weather. I was thinking, how do I get a girl back to my place? Well, drinks, that's creepy and boring. Movie, I don't know, she's got to be really into it. How do I get a girl back to my place, even if she's like curious about me or mildly interested? Well, without me putting any pressure on her. Well, I got a big ass trampoline. So what does everyone jump on when they're a kid, right? These big ass trampolines. It's a bit of age regression. Anytime that you can make the other person feel like they're a kid again, their emotions are very vulnerable and malleable. The more you can make her feel like a kid again, the more excited she is to be a part of what you're doing. Well, the trampoline kind of covers that front. But if I wedge it in between and sandwich that in between two things that are very obvious and simple, right? Like the sushi and chocolate, she's much more likely to agree to the whole thing. Rather than if I say, oh, do you like trampolines? She might be like, wait, what? This is kind of weird. But if I say, do you like sushi, trampolines, and chocolate? That was almost 100% conversion rate of a message back. Ha ha ha, I'm confused. Ha ha ha, I love sushi, or I love chocolate, or I haven't been on a trampoline in a long time. There's some sort of response like that, which is all that you want. You want that buy-in, you want that participation. So then you lock it down with logistics, again, without gaming. At this point, a lot of guys would try to game over text to build more attraction. I just wanted to show up for the day too. Even if my attraction goes down a little bit, but my percentage of her actually going to the day two increases, that's better than higher attraction and less chance of her showing up. Because I want consistency, I don't want random success. So when she shows up, right? So the sushi place, sushi's a good date. And again, you're not going to do this date on every girl, right? It's just a good anecdote. It's a good reference example. You can switch it up with whatever you want. Just kind of take the framework for it on why it works so well. So far, there's been no game. It's been very fundamental. It's been very simple. So when she shows up, we go to a sushi place that obviously I've already taken a lot of girls on this date to, right? I've done my group date here, so I have a lot of social proof. Every hostess and waitress, everybody in this place, obviously you do this for the very first time, it's not going to work as well, but you do 5, 10 dates here, every girl that works there, every guy that's there is going to look at you like the man. They're going to do the whole, oh, you again, oh, this guy, this fucking guy. Every cocktail waitress is going to come out from behind the thing. Every bartender is going to come out, give you the hug. Oh, hey, good to see you again, even if they don't really like you that much because you're a regular, right? It's pure mere exposure effect. Just showing up somewhere over and over again builds a deep level rapport. You want the effect of, wait, how many girls have you brought here? 'Cause she's never going to be accusatory. She's never going to look at you and be like, oh yeah, how many girls have you fucking brought here? It's not in a mean way. She's going to look at you and go, oh yeah, how many girls have you brought here? And she's going to smirk and it's going to be kind of funny. So if you go, oh no, you're the first one, baby. I love you, right? It's not going to go very well. What you do is you play it off. You go, right? There's a lot of ways you could say it, right? You could actually say that exact line, but you have to say it a little bit differently, right? Like, oh, you're the first one. I just texted them ahead of time. I told them to do that to make me look good. Anything that doesn't make you look good or makes you look like a player or makes you look a little bit off, just say, I did that to make me look good, and it's a bit confusing. It's a bit of a pattern up to the point where it ends up helping you more than hurting you. right? That doesn't necessarily make me look good. But if I say, oh, I did that to make me look good, right? It completely converts a negative into a positive. It's a really, really cool little move. But massive pre-selection, bro. Even if those girls like are only coming around giving you that hug or the handshake or whatever because you've been there a few times. It doesn't take weeks or months to do this. It takes a couple times. So they see you at your table. You just start asking her questions. Really boring questions, even logistical questions. Just statements and questions. You know, at a certain point, you're going to have, if you've been there a few times, you're going to have the general manager come over, you know, make sure everything's okay, right? Joke, if you want to add a little bit of game, tease with him a few times. You know, tell him how this fish on the sushi roll doesn't seem like it's cooked well enough. Or you think it's a little bit undercooked. That's funny because sushi's raw. Okay, ha ha, he jokes back and forth with you. Then you ask the girl at a certain point, oh, do you want to go grab that chocolate now? The girl's going to say, oh, sure, okay, fine, I guess, you know, that's the next thing. Because you already preempted it all. She already agreed to it. Whereas if you're on a date, sometimes it's hard to get the girl to go on these bounce locations. You know, because it looks like you're trying to do something. Whereas if she already agreed to it all ahead of time, it makes it very easy on you. This is why I can give you very consistent, almost guaranteed results. So then once you go to the chocolate place that I set up was a place with this open air. It was a bunch of gay and tranny bars outside, so there's crazy people watching. It was like really, really funny. And then all the seats there were love seats, where you kind of like squished into the middle just a little. So you're not on stools or tables or whatever. And then at the venue, which helps with Kino and touch, you don't have to actually escalate. You're just naturally kind of close to her. Then what I ordered is this off-the-menu item, which is a make-your-own s'more. So it's not on the menu, but I know that it's chocolate, but it's not just random chocolate. It's unique, right? You never even have more than a couple bites each. Like you don't even have to do that. It's super simple. The point is to satisfy that next stop, get that next thing in, but think about how unique how cool is it when the thing isn't even on the menu. Just by you knowing that that's available is really cool. Next is it's an activity. Anytime you can create a date out of an activity, that's what you want to do that. But the problem is most activities are sports, or it's a lot of investment on your behalf. It's a lot of stuff that you have to do. Whereas you roast your own s'more, it's super simple. You hold the fucking stick here and you roast it. But again, more age regression. It's back when you guys were kids roasting marshmallows at camp, right? It's crazy to watch it. If they've never done that before, it's crazy to watch how well it works. So you roast the s'more, you do the whole thing. Then again, each of your cities, it's a separate thing. It's crazy how many cities have this roast your own s'more thing, but make this applicable to your own thing. Just use mine as a reference experience and reference anecdote. Then at a certain point, I go, oh, you want to grab a drink? After they've done all of this with you, they say, sure. So you go into the bar. It's a walking distance. And then once you walk in that bar, obviously you have massive social proof again. You have mere exposure. The bartender comes over to you, high fives you. Oh, you want your usual? Sure. The more of a usual kind of frame that you can have with these different people, the more stable you appear. The more stable that you appear, the more trust you're going to have, which then makes it more likely that she's going to go back to your place at 3 a.m. The more likely she is to actually volunteer to go back to your place. The more likely she is to ask you to go back to your place. While you have that first drink, we never finish the first drink. Either I'm going to say it or she's going to say, so what's up with those trampolines? Or what's going on with the trampoline thing? I'm so confused. And we'll have a big laugh about the trampoline bit. And I go, oh, I almost forgot. It's almost closed. There's only one trampoline place that I even know of that's still open. And this is right before they start having those like sky zones, those jump zone places. So it's kind of, I don't know if this one would work as well now, because it's kind of funny because they actually have these establishments. But I told her, I only know one spot. It's kind of in my neighborhood. You still want to do the trampoline thing? Well, she's been thinking about the trampoline thing since the second you texted her. So she's got emotional investment wrapped up into that trampoline thing. Even if she hates trampolines or she's not very athletic, it's really kind of funny to see how they dress, because they're dressing for like a date, but they usually don't want to wear heels because of oftentimes girls will wear 2 pairs of shoes, one in their purse, one on their feet for this date, because they're confused about the whole trampoline thing or they're nervous about it. So then what ends up happening is I'm like, all right, let's hop in the car, let's hop in the Uber, whatever, let's go check out the trampoline. So we go there and we go to my house. I park the car and at some point she's going to say, wait, this is a suburb, this is your house. I go, yeah, I said it was kind of by my house. And she goes, okay. And then she starts talking, and as we get out of the car, I go, shh, shut up. Right? So by already taking a bit of an authority tone and surprising the shit out of her, because we've had so much fun, I'm smiling the whole time. I go, shh, what are you doing? What the fuck? Quiet down. The girl's going to go, oh, I'm so sorry. Why are we whispering? Because you're going to wake him up. the fuck? Now she's scared shitless because she's wondering, wait, where the fuck are we? But again, she's wondering, where the fuck are we? But we're in a very well-lit suburban area. It's a house. I'm not physically touching her almost at all. I'm creating this amazing daydream in real life for her. I'm creating that tightrope effect of helping the girl walk down that tightrope while you be in the net underneath. That net underneath is, we're not in some creepy alley. I'm not trying to like force her into my apartment. Instead, we're in a well-lit suburb and I'm telling her, just be quiet. That's all I ask of you. It's the only thing I'll ever ask of you in our entire future together. All right, so future projections, right? In our entire future of us knowing together. Us knowing each other. Just be quiet right now, please. They're going to wake up. I really want to do this. Right? So then what ends up happening is the girl's like, okay. So she tiptoes. I lift up my mat, right? I don't see a key. I'm like feeling around. All of a sudden I lift up my mat and I'm like, oh yes, they left it here. Fucking sweet. And that's about the time where she's like, I say, oh, they left it here. They left the key here. And that's about the time where she's like, where the fuck are we? She gets like super petrified. And I go, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. Don't worry about it. But I'm still like whispering it. But I'm whispering. I'm like yelling, whispering. I'm like, it'll be fine. Don't fucking worry about it. Right? Because I want to be a little bit sarcastic. I open the door. And again, everything in game, you got to sell it. You got to ham it up. It's all about buy-in, right? So again, the girl's not going to buy into anything that you're not fully bought into. You have to drink your own Kool-Aid a little bit. So when I'm opening the door, it's not like opening the door when you're going to your own place where you just open the door, you walk in. I slowly open the door. It sometimes creaks. I've only been here one other time. I said, it sometimes creaks. I've only been here one other time. I haven't been here in a while. She goes, what are we doing? What are we doing? And she's freaking out, but you're taking the lead on it. And you're so sure of yourself, right? You walk in, all of a sudden, my cat would run past me, and I go, holy fuck, I didn't know they had a cat here. Let's go. And we kind of scurry. We close the door very gently. Obviously, I'm going to yell at her for closing the door too aggressively, even if it's not aggressive. Again, there's no game here. I mean, there's kind of game, but there's no game. I'm literally telling her, be quiet, whisper. I can't find a key. They're going to wake up. Like, there's no, there's really no, I mean, I'm myself amusing, sure, but I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to act a certain way. I'm just setting it up so it segues into the next step. So we'd scurry through my living room, we'd get to the back, we'd close the door, all of a sudden we'd jump on my trampoline, and I'd go, be still. And she goes, why? I don't know. I just feel like it's a good idea. And all of a sudden, my roommate, which is one of my pickup mentors at the time, his light would always kind of come on, and I go, look, be very, very still. Be still so they don't see us. And I go, come here, scoot closer, otherwise they'll see us. Scoot closer. Again, am I trying to escalate? No, I'm just telling you, go scoot closer. We're gonna get called out, right? So she scoots a little bit closer. We're sitting next to each other, and then the light goes off, and I go, phew, we made it. She goes, you're crazy. You're fucking crazy. I go, no, I'm nuts, right? The point though is not to be crazy. The point is to lead the girl down that tightrope, right? Segue into the next step. Now again, it's like 2, 3 a.m. with a chance that something sexual is gonna happen. It's been pretty platonic. I haven't even kissed yet. But do you know how easy it is to get a kiss from a girl on a trampoline at 2, 3 a.m.? Like a nice 75-degree evening. It's super simple. You get that kiss, and then just let the kid, and then just go back to it. Now, deep comfort story. Talk to the girl about some shit you guys are passionate about. Watch the girl just jump on top of you and start making out with you after this crazy thing you just did. There's other things though, right? There's so many other things you could do for this. The goal again is to sandwich the close in between two things that she's definitely down for. Down for or up for, either one, right? So then I would lead the girl up off the trampoline, lead her inside. I'll make as much noise as I want. I'd open the fucking door. I go, hey, you want some tea? You want something to drink? And the girl's like, what? Why? Shh, quiet. She runs over me and tells me to be quiet. I go, what's your fucking problem? And she goes, and then I'll pick up my cat, pet my cat over the cat, it knows me. And she goes, I don't get it. And I'll turn on, I got really cool with this. And I would turn on a little entryway light that has like photos of me and the cat and my friends. And she'd see the photos and she'd look at me and goes, you fucking asshole. And she'd start like, kind of punching me and kind of play fighting. And it's that up and down. It's that emotional roller coaster that you're guiding her on. Again, I'm not forcing myself on her. I'm not groping her. I'm not physically escalating. Almost no escalation at all, hardly. Right? It's borderline platonic until we get back. But I'm doing all this, in comedy they call it callback humor, right? I'm doing all this callback attraction building to previous things in the interaction where, in the earlier interaction, I'm building all this trust, getting her to the place. But I'm also able to then escalate without it being weird and creepy because I made it such a sensual, emotionally sensual situation. A lot of times when people think about sensuality, they think of physicality, but you can be emotionally sensual as well, where you create this undertone of it's sort of romantic, sort of flirty, sort of funny, but very safe. That type of emotional sensuality is very, very effective. But again, remember that tightrope net concept. Right? You do this, and you'll be able to close just off logistics alone.